Welcome back to Change the World. This is episode number 3 of Tuesday Night Dynamite, so let's run the show. The episode begins with a video package looking back at the beginning of the AEW World Tag Team Championship Tournament last week. SoCal Uncensored and the Young Bucks advance to the next round. Another team will join them in the semi-finals on tonight's show. Kenny Omega was also interviewed in the ring, with several members of the roster showing up to interrupt him and stake their claim as potential contenders to the AEW Men's World Champion. Two of those guys will face off tonight as Marty Scurll faces Pac in the main event. Pac made it clear that he wants to go through every single member of the Elite before facing Kenny Omega again, and that's the first time that he will face a member of the Elite since he lost to Kenny at All Out. Going into the first match of the night, the Best Friends versus the Fringe in the AEW World Tag Team Championship Tournament. The Best Friends defeat the Fringe in 11:29 when Trent pins Jimmy Havoc. Havoc the weak link there. Good performances from the other three, or fairly good. Darby Allin is certainly someone we've got an eye on because he is a rising star on the independent scene in the game, holding 2 titles already. After the match, the Best Friends celebrate in the ring. They're through to the next round of the tournament. Going back from the break, we are introduced to a video package which shows an interview with the Lucha Bros, who spoke about how hungry they were to compete in the AEW World Tag Team Championship Tournament. They talk about their match in the tournament, which was supposed to be against LAX, but an injury to Ortiz has caused a delay to that. The Lucha Bros tell Santana and Ortiz that they are giving them 1 week to compete, and they'll expect to face them in the ring next week on Tuesday Night Dynamite. We then take a look back at Bea Priestley's debut victory at All Out, followed by a defeat against Britt Baker in the AEW Women's World Championship match. The commentators put over that Bea took the loss badly, and she has been focused on her redemption since that moment. We then see comments from Bea Priestley, who said that she will stop at nothing to become the AEW Women's World Champion. Going into the second match of the night, Bea Priestley looks to begin that redemption story, but he's defeated by Yuka Sakazaki in 11:40 with a Yuka drill. Bea Priestley getting a 31, but a much more impressive performance from Yuka Sakazaki, who gets a 52. That again is putting her in the place to be one of the potential contenders to Britt Baker's Women's World Championship. Yuka Sakazaki then stands tall in the ring, with the commentators agreeing that it's a matter of time before her and Britt Baker cross paths. We then get a recap of the confrontation between Ivelisse Velez and Tessa Blanchard from last week, Velez interrupting an interview with Tessa Blanchard on the ramp. This leads into a sit-down interview with Tessa Blanchard. As a result of that cancellation, Alex Marvez talks to her. She speaks her piece, tired of being interrupted. She says that she will be heard and her message is clear. She wants the Women's World Championship and she is willing to go through Ivelisse Velez to get it. We then get a promo ahead of the third match of the night. SoCal Uncensored talking as they make their way down to the ring. Kaz and Daniels put over their place in the semi-finals of the tournament, while Scorpio Sky says he's going to prove himself as a top single star in the company. This is just a segment to put over their personalities, giving them a chance to improvise and get their characters over to the audience. Scorpio Sky then defeats Joey Ryan in Joey Ryan's in-ring debut in All Elite Wrestling. Kazarian and Daniels are at ringside and maybe cause some distraction, but it's not enough to be an excuse for Ryan. Nonetheless, Sky picks up the victory with the fatal answer. Joey Ryan with a 47 there, I'm pleased with that. Hopefully when he eventually gets in the ring with Chris Jericho, Jericho will be able to drag him to a good match. Scorpio Sky with a 37, again he's not doing too well for us. After that match, SCU celebrates Sky's victory, with Joey Ryan being left in the ring. As he drags himself back to his feet, Chris Jericho comes out. He rubs salt in the wounds of Joey Ryan, adding insult to injury. He says that tonight proves that Ryan doesn't belong in an AEW ring and he simply isn't good enough. Ryan confronts Chris Jericho as he's called pathetic by the self-proclaimed GOAT. He slaps Jericho in the face with defiance, only to be dropped instantly with a code breaker. Jericho then stands over Joey Ryan, looking down on him. Again, every time in this segment, Jericho is getting the better of Joey Ryan. We're building to that match where Joey Ryan is going to be the huge underdog, but again, it's all about the anticipation of Chris Jericho's in-ring debut. We return to the second hour of the show and we see that Alex Marvez has managed to catch up with Chris Jericho and is asking him about his actions towards Joey Ryan. This angers Chris Jericho, who grabs Alex Marvez by the shirt and says that this entire place is full of amateurs. He includes Alex in that. He's fired up and he says that Joey Ryan isn't worth his time and doesn't deserve to be in the ring with him. He doesn't deserve to be in the company with him. He says despite that, he will face Joey Ryan, just to send a message to the rest of the losers in the locker room that they don't cross Chris Jericho. Returning to ringside, the commentators talk about the AEW Women's World Champion Britt Baker as she makes her way down to the ring. She's joined by Brandy Rhodes, who puts her over as the very best of the All Elite Wrestling women's roster. Britt Baker talks about potential challengers, telling Rhodes that she is ready for all comers and any challengers. This leads Brandy Rhodes to an announcement that there'll be an AEW pay-per-view in November called Full House. She adds that the first defences of both the AEW Men's and World Women's Championship will take place at that event. Next week, a number one contender match will take place, Madison Eagles versus Yuka Sakazaki, the two best ranked contenders, with the winner facing Britt Baker at Full House. Returning from another break, Ivelisse Velez faces Zeda Zhang, a competitive match, but a guillotine elevated DDT allows Ivelisse Velez to pick up a victory. 243 ratings there, so it's fairly even competitors. Velez is probably more in line for a push than Zeda Zhang, but two, again, solid performances. After the match, Velez stands tall, it's clear she has a chip on her shoulder, she feels that she deserves a shot against Britt Baker. Madison Eagles is then interviewed. This is to get her reaction to the number one contenders match being announced. She says that she isn't here to talk, she's here to keep doing what she's been doing in the ring. That will include beating Yuka Sakazaki next week before taking Britt Baker's title at Full House. Into the fifth match of the evening, Kip Sabian makes his debut, going up against Matt Cross, who made his debut last week. The experience of Cross overcomes the young Kip Sabian when he beats him by pinfall with a death from above. We get a 58 from Matt Cross, another good performance, while Kip Sabian gets a 29 and an awful rating for his gimmick, which isn't good, but at the minute he's not going to be a featured star, so that's not too much to worry about. Matt Cross then stands tall in the ring, having picked up his second successive victory. He is one of the burgeoning stars of the Tuesday Night Dynamite run. The commentators then discussed the return of Joey Janela, who had been out injured for a very long time, and a homemade style promo that he made challenging MJF. We then see the video. It's a scathing promo where he calls MJF a leech and a hanger-on and says that without Cody, nobody would give a damn about MJF. Joey Janela wants MJF and doesn't care if it's next week, the week after, or at AEW Full House. He's going to get his hands on that privileged punk. Prior to the main event, the commentators talk over some footage which is just designed to give some context to the main event. Pac has set out his stall as the anti-elite guy in AEW, while Mighty Skull has enjoyed an impressive start to his AEW career. We then go into that match, the main event. It's a good 66 C+ rated match. Pac defeats Mighty Skull in 13 minutes 33 by pinfall with the Black Arrow. A 75 rating for Pac, a 50 for Mighty Skull. That's not particularly good, but again, that is an impressive performance from Pac. He gets the crowd buzzing. Mighty Skull off his game there, so perhaps we can let him off this one time, but nonetheless, a good main event match. And I just want to put over at this point that there is a 15-minute time limit to all matches on Tuesday Night Dynamite. There will be exceptions to that, such as if we ever have title matches on the show and in that All Elite Showcase from episode 1. But generally, that is the rule. I don't think I've mentioned that yet, but it will be important going forward. After his victory, Pac will stand tall in the ring, antagonising Marty as he tries to get back to his feet. Pac's jostling and pushing will send Marty back down to the mat as he tries to get up, and Pac will not let him back up to his feet. Cody and MJF will then come out, coming between Pac and Marty, shortly followed by Hangman Page. At this point, Pac will dip out the ring, seeing that he is vastly outnumbered by the Elite and their associates. Page tells MJF to back off, knowing that Marty wouldn't want his help, and is backed up when Marty does eventually return to his feet. Skull pushes MJF away, which Cody's not happy with. Hangman sides with Marty, and we have a 2-on-2 showdown in the middle of the ring. Cody backing up his protege MJF, while the friends Marty and Hangman have each other's back. This clear division leads into an argument, with Kenny and the Young Bucks coming out to try and defuse the situation. They come between the two sides, looking to calm everybody down. As the debate continues in the ring, Pac is seen at the top of the ramp. Tuesday Night Dynamite ends with Pac looking down on the chaos, enjoying the cracks that are forming within the Elite. This is the first time that we've seen a weakness from the group who have pretty much dominated the early weeks of Tuesday Night Dynamite, and of course Pac, who has set out as his mission to destroy the Elite, will be very happy to see this. MJF underperforming, Kenny Omega a star of the segment. We advance 2 storylines with that, which brings us to the end of the show. So there it is, the 3rd episode of Tuesday Night Dynamite in the can, a 62C rating, which should reach our broadcaster requirements, but I'll have to check to be 100% sure. This week we learnt that the next AEW big event is coming in November, and it'll be called Full House. Britt Baker and Kenny Omega will both defend their championships at that event, with Baker's number one contender being named on next week's episode. Kenny Omega has more issues than just his title to deal with, as fractures and factions begin to develop within the Elite. With Pac's victory over Mighty Skull and the incident that followed the match, we were given the first indications that everything may not go the way of the group the promotion was set up to be built around. Elsewhere, Chris Jericho continued his victimisation of Joey Ryan as the Best Friends advanced to the Final Four of the Tag Team Championship Tournament. Next week, the Lucha Bros will face LAX to become the fourth team in the semi-finals of the tournament, while Madison Eagles will go up against Yuka Sakazaki in the aforementioned number one contenders match.